Imagine this. Tonight, every source of fire on Earth suddenly disappears. No gas stoves, no lighters, no ovens, no hot meals, no light after sunset. Sounds inconvenient, right? But for millions of years, this was simply everyday life for our ancestors. When we think of prehistoric humans, we often imagine powerful hunters gathering around a campfire after bringing down a massive animal. But there was a very long period in human history when that campfire didn't exist. So, what was life actually like before humans learned to control fire? And more importantly, could you survive even a single day? Asterisk morning, no breakfast waiting for you. The sun rises. You wake up. The first thing you feel is hunger. But unlike today, being hungry doesn't mean breakfast is waiting. There is no refrigerator, no supermarket, no restaurant around the corner. If you want food, you have to find it yourself. Every morning begins with the same question: what am I going to eat today? Interestingly, the answer is probably not what most people imagine. Movies often portray prehistoric humans as relentless hunters eating meat every day, but hunting was difficult. Animals were faster, stronger, and often escaped long before humans could catch them. As a result, much of their diet may have come from simpler sources: wild fruits, nuts, roots, tubers, and sometimes insects. Not exactly the image of a mighty hunter. In fact, many researchers believe our ancestors may have spent far more time gathering food than hunting it. In other words, they were often gatherers first and hunters second. Asterisk, asterisk, a world full of danger. Finding food was only half the challenge. The other half was avoiding becoming food yourself. Today, humans sit near the top of the food chain. Millions of years ago, that wasn't necessarily true. If you look at humans objectively, we're not particularly impressive animals. We don't have claws. We don't have sharp fangs. We aren't especially fast. We can't fly. We don't have thick skin or natural armor. A prehistoric human walking alone could easily become prey. Large cats, hyenas, crocodiles, and many predators that no longer exist today. Humanity's greatest advantage wasn't strength, it was cooperation. Even very early humans learned that survival was much easier in groups. Together, they could watch for danger, share resources, and protect one another. Asterisk eating. Raw meat wasn't like the movies. Let's say you're lucky enough to find some meat. A new problem appears immediately. You don't have fire. That means you're eating it raw. Raw meat is tougher, harder to chew, harder to digest, and potentially full of parasites. Today, most people can finish a meal in a matter of minutes. Our ancestors often had to spend much more time chewing and processing food. Some scientists believe that cooking eventually allowed humans to extract more energy from their meals. That extra energy may have helped support the growth of larger brains. In a strange way, the smartphone you're holding right now might trace part of its story back to the moment humans learned to cook. Hunger was normal. There's another reality modern people rarely experience. Not knowing where the next meal will come from. Today, many of us assume food will be available tomorrow. For prehistoric humans, that wasn't guaranteed. Some days were successful, others were not. There was no pantry stocked for the week, no canned food, no freezer, no food delivery app. Survival depended largely on what could be found that day. And if food was scarce, hunger became a normal part of life. Asterisk, when the sun goes down, then comes the most frightening part of the day. The sun slowly disappears below the horizon. Today, most people barely notice. For prehistoric humans, sunset was a warning. Darkness was coming, and darkness belonged to the predators. There were no streetlights, no flashlights, no glowing screens. On a moonless night, the world could become almost completely black, the very thing that makes humans powerful. Our intelligence was suddenly much less useful. You couldn't see far. You couldn't identify threats easily. And the sounds around you became far more unsettling. Every rustle in the grass could mean danger. Every shadow might hide a predator. The worst part wasn't knowing what was out there. It was not knowing. The discovery that changed Evie White TV. At some point in our distant past, everything changed. Humans learned to control fire. It may have been one of the most important moments in the history of our species. Fire provided light, warmth, protection, cooked food, and eventually the ability to survive in colder regions. For the first time, darkness no longer belonged entirely to predators. The night became a little safer, a little longer, a little more human. People could gather together after sunset, talk, share experiences, teach their children, tell stories. Some researchers even suggest that these evenings around the fire may have helped shape language, culture, and social bonds. The campfire wasn't just a source of heat. It became a place where human civilization began to grow. When people talk about humanity's greatest inventions, they often mention the wheel, the steam engine, or the internet. But long before any of those existed, there was another technology that changed everything, a simple flame. Because before fire, humans were just one more vulnerable species trying to survive in a dangerous world. After fire, we began the journey toward becoming the dominant species on Earth. So the next time you turn on a stove or enjoy a hot meal, remember, you're using one of the oldest and most important technologies ever discovered. A technology that may have changed the fate of humanity forever.